Hey there, friend. Welcome to Release Your Inner Power and Ways to Boost Your Week with Ignited Decisions. I'm your host, Shauna B, your life reinvention and empowerment coach, here to help you ditch that burnout, drop that guilt, and take back your life. If you are a busy woman juggling work, kids, and life, all the to-dos, or just stuck in some major transition like a breakup, a career change or shift, or just feeling meh, this is your space to reset and recharge you. Each week, we tackle real fears, real struggles, and real solutions. Plus, we have inspiring guests who have been there and done that, and they are sharing their stories and tools too. It's time to put yourself back on the priority list and step into your week that feels energizing and empowering. Let's do this. Welcome back to Release Your Inner Power podcast. I am so excited that you guys are here. I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Jolene. We're going to do this episode a little bit different today. It's going to be about her experience with coaching, and I'm excited to dive into this today. Welcome, Jolene, to the show.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
I know I'm excited for this. So let the listeners know a little bit about who you are as a human.
Okay, well, I'm female. I'm 50 years old, and I've had a lot of different backgrounds. I've done a lot of things in life. Grew up in California, went to college for biology, then couldn't find a job, jumped into computers, then didn't like that, sitting under fluorescent lights. So I was a yacht stewardess for about 20 years, traveling around the world, and just trying to get through life, always looking for a partner that I could marry and spend time with, and finally found him, got married, and settled down in Seattle. And yeah, that's kind of what brought me here to you, is that job finally ended, yachting, and had to figure out what to do with my life and who I was. So yeah.
So when you say figure out I want to kind of dive into that a little bit. So before you got coaching and you say that try to figure out what your life was going to look like after getting married and then doing the stewardess and kind of like being here, what did that look like for you? Like, what were the things that you were kind of like stuck on, or the things that you noticed? And then when did you notice that you wanted change and something to be different?
Yachting and being a stewardess was all consuming. It was almost who I identified with because I had done it for so long. And it was hard for me to think about who I was, even though I knew I had all these other skills, but how I could get along in the world in another way. I kept stopping and trying new things, but nothing clicked, nothing hit, almost because I had too many choices. I had money, I had abilities, but I couldn't make a decision outside of what I was doing. So I would just stay in it and stay in it and stay in it. Even though I wasn't totally happy, I just kept doing it because I didn't know what else to do. But yet I had so many options, and it was paralyzing on one side and it was fun on the other side. So when I finally got married, knowing that's really, really ultimately what I wanted, and then the Boeing or the job that I had before ended, I had to do something else, and I couldn't figure it out. I was going in circles. Who am I not on a yacht and not doing this? What do I want inside? I couldn't figure that out, who I was. That was, people said, like you asked, go ahead and tell us who you are. It's really hard. I can tell you what I did in life, but who I am has always been hard for me to answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
when you had this kind of like, trying new things and nothing was really stuck, tell me a little bit more of that journey. Like, tell me a little bit more of what that looked like for you.
so I lost the last yachting job that was central in Seattle, and I looked at all of the different options I could do and what I was good at. And I was very logical about it. And I wrote it all out and I had these thoughts of what was good for me. And then I had these other thoughts of what do I want to do? And I couldn't make sense of the two. It was like I was going in circles. I would talk to friends and I would talk to people, and I could just see it in their eyes of like, God, we're going to go through this again. Like, I would lay awake at night going in circles. I could do this, I could do that. No, it's not the right thing. Then I'd get depressed, and then I'd come back up. Oh, but you could do all of these things. And then I'd get depressed. And it was this vicious cycle and went on and on. And finally, I landed on project management. I was like, okay, that's good for me. And I can do it from yachting. I can figure that out. And I got into this job that I was good at, but it didn't fulfill my soul. And I ended up quitting. I did it for 2 years because I was good at it, but I just wasn't happy. It was like my mind kept telling me, you could do so many other things. Now you're in an office as a project manager. Oh my God, who is this? Who are you? And I had all of these ego-based thoughts, and it was unsurmountable. I couldn't stop it. Yeah.
What brought you to what brought when you said you're going through this circle, right? And you just kept going back. Like, what was the time where you were like, I need something different? And I like when did life coaching actually come about to you? Like, what was the idea for you to reach out to coaching for that?
So I never thought I needed a life coach because I'm very logical and I can write it all down and I can obviously see what my issues are. I totally see it. Why would I need a life coach? I'm my own life coach. I thought I needed career coaching, but a career coach was just giving me more careers that I could choose from. I was overwhelmed with careers I could choose from. That wasn't the problem. And then I was telling you about it in your kitchen, getting ready for a book club. I was the first one there, and I was telling the story again. Oh, but I had this thought. I could do this. I got really excited. Oh, but I can't do that. That's not right. And I could hear myself almost rambling on about it. And you very quietly, very kind of just said, that's what I do. I help people make these decisions. And I was like, well, all in, let's do it. I was so lost, so lost. Yeah. But I had never thought about life coaching. I always thought I could do that, but I could not. For 20 years, for all these times, I could definitely not do it myself.
It's interesting how we want to work it out, right? We're like, no, like it's almost like we think because we need a coach, like we have to admit something is wrong with us. And it's not necessarily anything is wrong with you. You can just be in what I call in the fog, right? You're in a fog, the answers are there. You can get the steps, you just can't see them. You just can't see them. And a coach is somebody that is like a lighthouse
Yeah.
that's going to kind of shine the light through the storm, like over here, just come this way a little bit, right? And then when you start taking that journey of coming that way a little bit, now all of a sudden the fog starts to lift and you're like, what is this? You're like, this is just great.
That is exactly the way I felt. I was in such a fog for, I think it was 6 to 8 months that this one, well, and a little bit all through my life, but just almost like there was two or three me's talking at the same time. And yeah, the way that your program was set up was so logical for me. And then when I would talk to you about something I had written, you would see it in a different way than I'd ever met. Or you'd pick up on one little thing that I would say, and it would spin it for me. And it was like, oh my God, it's the light. That's totally the way I felt. Like I could not see that before. And when you would spin it, it was so obvious and felt there was this feeling, this release of like, oh, I can breathe. I can finally breathe. That's how it felt. Yeah.
And I think too, sometimes when we get, like you said, in those circles of getting stuck, we get in this like stuckness of wanting to find the thing. And so we have our blinders on for any other possibility that can be. And it's like, no, I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to find the answer. Meanwhile, it could be literally right on the other side of your blinder. And you
Yes.
don't know that it's there just because you're so hyper focused on I have to find the answer that, you know what I mean? You don't take the time just to like take the blinders off. And then you're like, oh, this
That was it.
is.
I
And
was,
it's just a little like assistance and kind of like, well, what about this over here? And what's this over here? And then like kind of uncovering that, the fog just like slowly like comes up and then you're just like, oh wow. And then
yeah,
you can dive into a lovely slew of opportunities that you can now see.
yeah.
I definitely want to ask you about um the program and your experience with the program. Just what your experience was. How did you like it? All of those things, as much as you would like to share.
Well, because I think the way I operate, I'm more a mathematical, systematic person, and I like that's part of the reason I really liked the program was that it had the modules and it had step one, step two. There was a worksheet. There was very short videos, but with a lot of meat. And I could wake up on a Saturday, I could spend half an hour, I could watch a video, then I could write about it. The act of writing was really big for me. I saw things that uh, putting it down on paper made a huge difference. And then the worksheets were great because the prompts, the I'm kind of blown away by your prompts. So people have asked me all my life, well, what are your values? What do you value? Yeah, what do you know? That was the first lesson, the first course. What are your values? And then it's like, well, I don't know what my values are. If I knew that, what am I doing here, right? And he said something like, well, what do you spend money on? What do you do with most of your time? Simple. I mean, it sounds so stupid, but it was so simple. I looked at, oh, shoot, okay. What do I do spend money on? What do I focus on the most? And it opened up through the writing of, oh, I spend money on this because that's important to me. Why is it important to me? Because it's something that I care about. Why do I care about it? There's my value. And I went down this path. So the program with the very smart and curated prompts really helped me see things that I hadn't seen before. There was a way that you did it, was great. But I also really just liked the way it was set up with the worksheets. And then we would talk. So we would talk about stuff that I thought I had already figured out. And through the words I would say, you'd say, okay, I'm going to just pause you for a second there. I heard you say this. Let's talk more about that. And that was what got me even deeper. And I think I did some of the coaching lessons at this sort of dead end job I was in. And I'd just sit there in my office and cry, just cry and weep. And yeah, I really liked the program. And halfway through, even more stuff would come up. It wasn't like, I started at the end being like, oh, I'm good now. I think the whole way through and even near the end, I would have new epiphanies. And I really felt a shift. And even my husband and my friends saw it in who I was at the end. It wasn't just about choosing the right career. Yeah.
And it's interesting too because when like you said you go into it and you're like, "Oh, I've got this figured out and I've got that figured out." And you very well did. You did have that part figured out. It's like it's almost we don't allow ourselves to try to go deeper. And sometimes it's fear and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just like, "No, I'm good right here." But then when you do go deeper and you really find out your whys and the meanings of all of those things really helps fulfill you and what you truly want to bring into your life. It's
Yeah.
like kind of going beneath the surface level stuff.
Mhm.
And that can be scary sometimes. That can be scary sometimes because you're not really sure. But it's very interesting to me how sometimes we'll go straight to the negative side when sometimes when you open that door a crack, it's majority not the scary side. Majority, it's the unknown might be scary, but when you crack open the door and you really look, it just cracks open your world and there's so much more opportunity there. And we're
Yeah.
almost limiting ourselves from even looking through the door.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And because I just kept going, it was almost like I was operating on one side of my brain over and over and over and again. And you sort of opened up another side of my brain. And part of that side was to see what it felt like. That was huge. I had been thinking. And your program, the way that the organization of it too, brought it on slowly. Like you didn't hit me right in the front with something, I was like, I was primed, I was ready. It was really cool. I was just, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of self-help things. So that's why I thought, oh, I got this. But your program was different. And I really think the way the prompts are curated, the way that the program is set up, step one, step two, you can't jump in the middle because you don't get it yet. So yeah, I'm really just blown away.
One of the things that I really like to talk about in the program, and I'm curious what you think about it, is I talk about a brain dragon. It is like a big deal, and everybody has one, and it's basically your ego side and the place that can keep you stuck. And sometimes people will come into the program and they're like, I don't have a dragon. They're like, I don't have one. Like, okay. And then we get into it, and then they're like, wait, I do have a dragon. Or, wow, I didn't realize, because part of the program is to build a relationship with this so you can see where it is keeping you stuck, where it's keeping your blinders on, where it wants the fog to stay in. What are your thoughts? Think back to when you were in the program. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Like, did you think you had a dragon? Did you notice it? Did you think it was like a small baby dragon? Or did you notice like, oh, this is a big dragon. I got to tame this thing here.
I think in the beginning, and maybe a little bit now, but I see it in a different way. I saw my dragon as my logical side keeping me safe. Oh no, it's good. It's there to keep me safe and to keep me logical. It's my mother talking to some extent. It's other people talking. It's when I was speaking negatively about myself or whatever, the things that we say or that it says, I would think, oh, well, that's just to help me learn from this situation. It's almost like I had made peace with it by just allowing it. So when you called it a dragon, and when you would say things like, you don't have to listen to it, that was sort of eye-opening for me because I was like, oh, but wait, no, it's keeping me safe. It's there for a reason. It's almost like I was protecting it. And so yeah, it changed my relationship with the thoughts and the feelings. It changed my relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, because once you build and change that relationship and you can identify, because that's what it is. You're building a relationship with it because it doesn't leave. It's always with you. And that's why I say train it, because there are some things that your dragon will pop up, but it is designed to protect you, but it's designed to protect you like in our lizard brain, like
Yeah.
in the way, way down of like, if I jump off this cliff, I'm gonna die type situation. And it's like, do not jump. Like that kind of stuff is where it's trained. But if we don't keep it trained that way, it grabs things through your life and adds to it and kind of feeds it. So how I describe it is it gets bigger. And then if you, like you said, you were like, no, it's supposed to be there and all that. You've nurtured this dragon to control and drive the bus of your life.
It controlled me 100% to the point where I could not see through the fog.
Yes.
Knew that I had different feelings inside. I knew that I wanted different things. But God, no, it's not safe. That's not how you play the game. That's not going to make you money. All of the things. And so I would just be small and I would just sit there. Okay, I'll do what you want me to do. And then the negative thoughts too. Oh, you think I'm fat? Oh, you think my hair's not right? Okay, yeah. Oh, you're right. I can lose weight. I can change my hair. I can wear different things. Yeah. Okay. You want me to do that? Sure. I was just completely, yeah, insecure and lost to whatever the thought was. And then, yeah, you're like, you don't have to listen to that. What? What? It's there. It's keeping me safe. So yeah, that was really interesting.
So after you built that relationship and learned how to train it and, learned all the tools to, question it and know when it comes up and things, how do you feel now?
So I have this totally different sense of confidence because I'm no longer cowing down to it. And I'm kind of just having that epiphany right now. I went back to the very first job I got out of the yachting, and I am now owning it. I am treated completely different. I am working to revamp their entire project management. And the owner's coming to me and asking me questions and saying, you need to do another workshop. And no longer am I just the minion looked down upon and not sure how to write an email. I just feel like I'm not as afraid I was before. I'm sure I still have fears and all the things still kind of come up, but it's almost like I don't think about it anymore. I'm just more confident. And it almost just happened organically. I just became more confident, seems like. It's weird. And I
You
know
took
that
control. You
that's,
took control, right?
yeah.
You're like, okay, you're not, I'm taking the wheel now, and you took control. And just like you said, that's that's what I was hoping for you, is to naturally you take control, but then now it's naturally coming that way to where you're naturally getting the confidence because now you are in control, you're driving the bus and your dragon's over here. And then you can like, I see you, like I see you over here. What I really love about your story is that you started a job outside of yachting and how you felt in the job and how you went through the circle and you're like, no, I'm not happy here. I need to find another job. And then you go find another job and you're like, oh, and then you were talking about timing at one time where it's around the same time and the circle starts. And then you're like, oh no, here, I'm not happy here. I need to do something different? And then, that kind of a thing. What I love about your story is that, like, just like you said, you went back to the first job after doing the program. You leave this other job and you go back to your first job, but it's like a completely different job because of who you are, how you see it, how you are in it. It's like this whole other job, just how you would describe it and say what was going on. You could feel the energy, excitement, and like just how like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a noise. It's like about the job. Like you were just like, oh, and it was the same thing, but look how different you were inside and how you felt at the same place.
The same place, and I'm treated differently. And that's what's so interesting is, but it's still the same person you guys had 8 months before. Why are you treating me differently now? And yeah, that was a real eye opener. So I was,
On the out, but on the outside, you look like the same person, but are you the same person as 8 months before?
no, and I was portraying that, and and I can see it now. The people that treat me the most different thrive on people that are in fear. And I didn't come back in fear. I came back saying, oh, yeah, let's do this. I know how to do it. Let's do it. Instead of, what do I do now? What do I do now? I just was like, let's go. I'm here now. Let's rock the ship.
Yeah. And I love that you could see that, like you were stepping back for a point to look out and see and notice that, because then that also was like, I don't know, that must have just felt amazing for you to be like, yeah, like this is it. You know what I mean? Just by seeing like interactions and how you just like rocked something and then just how people were responding to that, it probably just made you love it even more.
It did. And what also was interesting is that it wasn't about the job.
Mhm.
And I had spent so much time on the job, pros and cons of the job, pros and cons of this job. Where is it going to be located? How long is the commute? All of the pros and cons. All the while, it had nothing to do with the job. That was crazy to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like you said, when you have that logical side of your brain and you want to like, get it all, figure it out. You want to figure, it's almost like calculating it. Like you're calculating what is my solution here by
Mhm.
writing all of these things down, when in reality it's really is who's driving the bus. Is it you or your dragon? And then how you feel about all of the things and the whys you're doing stuff. When you have that fuel for your fire, then you can step in just like you did, where you're instead of opening the door to your job, like, okay, it's my first day, you're like, it's my first day. You're just like, here I am. You know what I mean?
What I want, I want this kind of desk. I want to sit by a window. I want this. It's too cold. You got to heat it up. Like it's just like, okay, guys, I'm here. Let's see what do we need to do next. And I just felt different, and I still have insecurities, and I still am, there's some fear, but I'm not coming at it from the same place before. And I'm still learning. I'm going through the program again now. It's a year later, and I'm opening up new things. And I was afraid too. I was like, oh God, do I want to go through this? Do I want to open up more doors? And yeah, I do.
Can you tell me why you were afraid? Why were you afraid to open up doors?
Because I was happy now. I was happy. I am happy. I'm the boss. I'm doing the job. I got the husband. I got the stuff. Everything's working. Everything is the way I wanted. But the first module is, what do you really want?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, okay. And then you kept saying to me, it's good, but how good can it get? And so that's my new mantra. That's my new affirmation, is how good can it get? But I was afraid to go down the rabbit hole again, because what if I don't get what I want? All of the fears came up. So you helped me just even a couple days ago spin it to, how good can it get? And Shauna, got really good.
Good.
Yeah, it got really good, because I wasn't coming to it from this like a fear of, oh God, here we go. Now what do I have to deal with? It was like, but it was great before. Let's see if we can make it even better. But just that little spin that you put on it, it's almost like, yeah. And I'm doing the ongoing coaching where every month we meet. And so it's really helpful to have a life coach, somebody to coach you through when it gets tough. Hey, I'm here for you. Why don't you try lifting that weight this way? Oh, right. That feels a lot better. So, yeah.
I know well, of course I'm a life coach, but I remember when before I started being a life coach, when I was trying, I'm like, where are these people? Like, because like counselors and therapy and all of that, that's a different kind of healing. That's a different kind of, egg, if you will. And coaches are like, take things now, and like kind of like the beacon, like the lighthouse of kind of like, look over here or come this way, or asking questions, not necessarily healing.
Mhm.
It's giving you tools to live from here forward, but in a different way, perspective, and like in less fog. But I remember thinking, like, it's not a counselor. Where are the people that help you do this stuff? Like this life thing. Like, where are these people that do that? And then when I started finding them, I was like, I just dove in and was like super curious, and here I am. But it's so cool to have like a hype girl in your corner, have somebody that supports you, that has different ways of pulling things out and giving you tools to make everything so much more lighter. Because there's hard moments, there's dips and trenches and tornadoes and things that just come through. And to have that person, to be okay with finding somebody like that and then seeing how you are coming through it, like you said, from the beginning to the end, and just being able to touch something really quickly, like you said a couple days ago, that one spin, and you're like, what? Yes. I love that. Like there was many times when you took the program where it was like, you're crying, I'm crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's like leaps, and we're like in this together, and it's like so cool and awesome to me feel like your feelings. I can feel that and see like how awesome it is, like with you cracking open stuff. And it's so awesome to feel. So thank you for all of your kind words and doing this journey, because it was a blast to coach you. It was so cool to see all of the things that happened.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. I'm so thankful. And another thing too, because we had this sort of relationship as in the book club, and you had said, and I think we've only met probably a year or so before, and only every month or every other month we'd go to a book club. And I was a little concerned, like, okay, well, how is that going to work? And you said, by the way, keep these two lives totally separate. You don't need to talk about this in our other life. This is our time now. And I loved that safety net. So, yeah, as a friend, this is a different space, and you helped keep it that way in a nice, kind, safe way. So that was really lovely also.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to work really hard at, separating the two, so you have the space for this and the space for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Doesn't mix. So thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So can you describe how different you feel now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are some things that you have found? You've said some of them through the interview, but what are some of the things now that you have just from doing this process and practicing these tools and really learning about your dragon that you have now that you didn't have before you started?
I think for me, it's easier for me to check in with the way I'm feeling. I was so in my head before that now it's like there's some space. That part of me that overanalyzes and thinks about things in that way, like you say, tame it. Like I can recognize when I'm doing it. And one of the other cool tools was the pause button. Pause. Okay, what are you feeling now? What's going on inside of you? And so I think that's another thing I got through the program is more quickly can I check into how am I feeling in this moment? And I also kind of found my voice. I found my voice in the job. I found my voice with friends, speaking not from a place of fear, but more of a place from this is what I need in this moment. I started setting some boundaries at work, which was interesting. I don't think I would have ever been able to even have that thought before. But now I can say, no, this is going to be a boundary of mine, and we don't need to cross this anymore. And I can do it with kindness because I'm not coming from fear. I'm coming from this is what's good for me. And yeah, so that was another thing I got through the program was having that sense of how does it feel in my body right now? How is this working instead of just in my head?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you would like to share about your experience or what you learned or advice or anything for any of the listeners that may be listening in?
I'm sure there's so many things I'm not thinking of. I guess my advice is to be open to whatever it is that comes up, no matter how small, and to write. For me, at least, it's hard to give that advice to everybody because maybe it's not right for everybody, but writing things down and getting it out of my headspace really helped see it. And I think some other advice is set aside some actual time to be with yourself and to think about these things because it just gets better. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your kind words and your experience. I really liked having you on the show.
Yeah, this is a treat. Thanks to share my experience on this way. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, learned something new, or got some gems to take away that will boost your week. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to click that follow button to not miss what is coming next. If you love the show or want to share a story, send me a quick message. I love hearing from listeners. If you know someone who needs this episode in their life, go ahead and share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. If you are looking to connect more, check out the show notes for all the social links, my website. I would love to hear how this episode helped you and what you loved about it. If there's a topic you want to hear about, send that too. All right, ladies, now is the time to release your inner power. Are you feeling like you're behind or something's off or you've tried to do something new and you just can't get on that wagon? You just keep falling off? Guess what? You're human and life doesn't follow a perfect timeline. Maybe the year didn't start the way that you hoped. Maybe your goals got buried under real life stuff. But here's the truth. You're allowed to begin again anytime you want, whether it's July, September, December, January. Progress doesn't have a deadline. That's why now is the perfect time to join Empower Her. We meet you where you are, help you build momentum, and remind you that you don't have to do this alone. There's still so much time left. Let's make it count together.